Testavio pronto. Testa. Testavio pronto.
like Capuana, het is daar altijd vreugde en nooit verdriet. Hawaii, Hawaii, je bent mijn sprookjesland. Lovely Lolita, in dreams I always see your sweet smile as you dance for me by moonlight close to the sea, while native boys are strumming on sweet guitars and cards. Lovely hula maiden, I sail my ship right back to that spot on Waikiki shore. I love you once more. Wait for me, honey, hula maiden. Wait for me, honey, hula maiden. Van mij is dit de Beautiful Kauai, beautiful Kauai, and it's calling, yes. the peaceful evening you sleep. I need to eat a light cup of water, at least I hope the thrill the noise to breathe. Hawaii, que ven nuestro Islam. Lovely hula maiden, in dreams I always see your sweet smile as you dance for me by moonlight close to the sea, while native boys are strumming on sweet guitars and humming. Lovely hula maiden, I sail my ship right back to that spot on Waikiki shore. I love you once more. Wait for me, honey, hula maiden. Wait for me, honey, hula maiden. Duizend bloemen op Samoa vliegen zachtjes in de tropen. Duizend bloemen op Samoa voor het meisje dat daarop mee was. Daar sprak ik tot haar mijn afscheidswoord. Zij tooide mij met bloemen en haar hart ging toen met mij aan boord. Duizend bloemen op Samoa wieren zachtjes in de tropen. Duizend bloemen op Samoa voor het meisje dat daarop mee was. Duizend bloemen op Samoa vieren zachtjes in de tropen. Duizend bloemen op Samoa voor het meisje dat daarop mee was.
Okay. First live stream. I'm gonna sort out this equipment issue since this is the first time. Maybe we have some glitches. We'll see. Is the sound okay? Is the picture okay? Internet connection okay? It's weird not knowing if somebody is out there, but I can see that there's a lot of comments, so that's awesome. Let me just see that this works. Now it might be maybe double sound. Some glitches, we'll see. Seems to work. Okay, is the picture okay? Internet. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna start calling first person. Let me just get the chat up without sound. See that this works. Now it might be. So I don't really know which place is the best way to watch the chat, but I'm guessing the creators studio place. So let's see. Okay. Live chat, nothing. That's kind of strange. So, since we have so many devices, maybe I just pick the live stream on this one, just to make it complicated. If anybody knows a better way of doing this, tell me. But now I'm gonna have the chat on this one. Just while I try to figure this out, let me answer some questions I know people have asked already. So I got one question: what do you think about the GH5? I actually ordered a GH5 very, very recently, so it hasn't arrived yet, but I think it's an awesome camera. And I think that it's gonna be the perfect B camera for me, since I've used the Blackmagic and I feel that it's not very good to have as a B camera all the time. It's perfect when it's a lot of light outside and it's daylight. Otherwise, I think it can be a problem with it because it can't really go beyond ISO 400. You want to be below 400. So that's why I bought the GH5. We'll see. I have the lenses and all that, so it's an easy switch for me. So let's try calling first number. So dial. Now this might be easier if I had somebody else that did this for me, like the famous Gary Vee, but I don't, so bear with me here. Oh my god, so annoying. I need to change the privacy issue with the iPad for Skype. So another question I can answer while we do this. Can you do some in-depth color grading tutorials? Yeah, I'm going to do that. It's gonna be continuous, I think, because I noticed, of course, that people like those. So I'm gonna try to do more of those. I don't know when the next one's gonna come out. It's probably gonna be soon though, because since they work well, I think it's good to put more of them out. What? Okay, this is really strange. So let me do another question before I call, and let's try Skype on the phone. Everybody hates technology, I guess. Another question from Toma Nadu. Do you use Resolve for export altogether? I actually don't use Resolve for export all the time. I usually export a master, and then when I have the master exported, I usually use Media Encoder, which I think is the easiest way to batch convert a lot of files. So for instance, for this, when it comes to the channel, I usually make one master that's ProRes 444, and then I go and make one 235 master, and then I do one that publishes everything straight away. So you try to kind of effectively upload and batch everything, and that works best in Media Encoder, I think. But you need to have, most of the time, a clean file also, and that Resolve as well. So let's see if this amazing phone works better. Here we go. Okay, let's do it. Microphone.
Hello?
Hello? Who is this? It's
Hello?
Hello, who's this?
Jonathan?
Hello, Jonathan. It's Johnny from Wallstrom. How are you?
Hi. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. What question did you have?
I watched The Pearl of Africa last weekend,
Yeah?
and I thought it was a really good movie, so good job on that. And I was wondering what future plans do you have? When will I be able to watch a new feature film from you guys?
I think we started it, like our next project, we actually started in the fall, I think. So we've been shooting for maybe 3 weeks or something like that. So it's actually in the making, but we haven't applied for funding, and we're still doing development of the project. It's going to take place in 4 different places in the world. It's going to be 4 different characters that we follow, and it's going to be connected to environmental issues, climate change. I'm not able to say too much, but it's going to be interesting to see, because we're trying to make a film that's not your everyday climate change film. So it would be a film that people that don't care too much about climate change would still want to watch, we hope. Yeah. But we also have a web series coming out really soon on the channel that is also a documentary. But it's not a feature film. It's gonna be like, I don't know, 6 to 8 episodes. That's actually a project that I shot while I shot The Pearl of Africa in Uganda. So it's also in Uganda. Going to drop a trailer soon, so stay tuned for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
So audio okay? Haven't seen any comments yet, so I'm guessing it's okay. Let's find a different number. I'm just gonna go from the top and down. Next number. Oops, wrong. Denmark.
Hello, this is Brian.
Hi Brian, it's Johnny from Wallström, Creative North.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Doing very fine. How about you?
I'm good.
Live?
Yeah. Is the audio okay?
Yeah, it really is.
Oh, okay.
Can I turn the audio on my computer as well?
Yeah, I think you can. I'm not sure how it will sound if it's too loud, but I think it's gonna be fine. So what question did you have?
Yeah. So I'm a filmmaker in Denmark. I got my own little business, One Man Army. And I've been building this for a couple of years. Started as a photographer. And then 2 days ago, a guy called me from one of the bigger production companies in the near area I live in. And they got a big photography business, and they started this video company. And he asked me if I would like to go to a meeting about partnerships, starting a partnership, because apparently he got the money and he made a big investment, but can't quite get it to work, getting clients and so on. And what he's looking for is kind of like an entrepreneur kind of guy like me that already made a client base and like really want to develop big business.
So what's the roles? How are they? Like, what's your role and what's his role?
That's what I'm trying. Of course, I'm going to have the meeting and I'm trying to figure it out. Like, just should be some kind of balance. As I see it now, he's going to buy into my business, and I'm going to be the guy getting the video side up and running, and like be controlling it and then evolving it to like maybe 5 or 6 employees. So the thing is, like, it's going great. I just got a couple of big clients in my business. I really like what I'm doing. But this would be like the opportunity to step up. He got a lot of big clients from the photography side and he want to do full service. So this would be a great leap, if you can say so. But of course, I feel like I'm giving up a bit of what I built up myself. But there's only so much you can do on your own.
Yeah. I mean, I was in a similar situation before, because before I worked with my brother, I worked a lot, both alone as a production company. I've had different production companies with different people before, but often I've understood for myself at least that so since I've been a cinematographer, I've done, both the photography stuff that's come in through our production company, and then I've done that because I've that background in the beginning and everything, and then I went into cinematography. So when I look at that sort of thing where you're gonna go into a partnership, I would want the person that I go into partnership to complement what I already have. And for me, that was, a producer. So my brother went in and started producing and doing the marketing type of stuff that we did. So for instance, he did all the PR and marketing and producing of the Pearl of Africa. And then I did all the creative stuff that is like the story and, editing and shooting and everything. So that's basically how I see it. And I think if you work with a photographer, like one issue that you can encounter is that you will compete for the same type of jobs. And often as a production company, I rarely get like photography to be valued in the pitches that I do. So like now, for instance, we have a pitch where we're doing both the films and then there's gonna be photography. But the photography part of it is maybe 5% of the budget. So if that means that you would split it, because photography budgets in general are much lower, it would become a problem for you, I think. If you don't know exactly what, the roles are. And because if you get a lot of work, for instance, that all of it is film, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna produce then, or what's his role gonna be? Because if he does that, then you can definitely, see an advantage in it. But if he only waits for the photography stuff, then, it can be a liability instead.
Precisely. Well, the idea is that he wants this side company to be as big. For me, it's more like he got a great team, and he already got an intern guy that would be like assisting and producing and everything. He's just looking for the right guy. So this would actually, like in my business, all the marketing, all the economics, everything is like taking time and energy. I would be able to evolve much quicker and do a much better product for clients if I only had to focus on that. And that's what this would be giving me. It would be giving me the ability to focus only on the storytelling and the production of the videos.
Yeah, then I think it sounds great. Just make sure that you really talk through that, like, so that both of you understand what your roles are and everything. Because I think that can always be an issue if you start a partnership and, you know, way down the line. Like, I've had so many, like one partnership that I had before with a director before I started directing, I think. And it wasn't like hard feelings type of thing, but it still was, you know, we just put that project that we had together to sleep, and then we went separate ways. And other people have really become enemies and that sort of thing. So that's the thing to look out for, I guess, too. Just make sure that you have the same, you know, vision in the beginning. So try to map out where you want to be, like in 5 years or 10 years, and try to just do that thoroughly before you kind of just commit to it. Because maybe it's good to try to work together on a couple of projects first before you just jump into it. Because you're gonna regret it if you regret it.
Yeah, precisely. That's the big thing is I'm gonna put my business kind of to sleep, right? So it should be a really good reason to lose that. So
Yeah.
cool.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the experience.
Yeah. Awesome for you to call in.
Okay. Have a good
Yeah.
one.
You
Thanks
too.
for the live and
Take care.
keep on doing great work.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye.
Awesome. Okay. So next one. Here we go. There's a lot of Scandinavians, I think. Oops. Calling the wrong number. Sorry. It's me. I just don't know exactly how to do this. Hey, it's Johnny. I messed up. I called you again. Easy app. I don't know why they changed so much in Skype. Okay, this is the phone. Use dial pad. Okay, perfect. Freaking Skype. Or it was me. It was probably me. Norway. I just came from Lofoten just a couple of days ago. I got a cold. Busy. Okay, next number. China. Let's call China. So you're just hearing one channel. That's the setting on the camera. I think I can fix that maybe. Or can I? Yeah, I can. How do we change it? No, I can't. Damn it. Canon. I'll have to fix that next time, I think. So sorry for having one channel. So many people unavailable. India. Never been to India. Connecting. Hello? Hello? This is Johnny from Wallström. Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
How are you?
Of course. Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
I'm good.
What question did you have?
My question is that what equipments for color grading?
Do you mean like to calibrate or like monitors or what type of equipment? Yeah.
The monitor, first of all.
Do you want like an advice on a monitor or do you just want general thoughts on it?
I'm just monitor for like I do my color grading easily and find colors more accurate.
I mean, I've done a lot of grading without, proper monitoring. And I think when you do that, you have to look at a lot of different devices instead to see it. But I mean, in terms of recommendations, I think I'm not sure what sizes you can get from Blackmagic, for instance, but those are really color accurate when it comes to the like enterprise type of studio monitoring. I'm not sure if the highest size might be.
I'm just my requirement is just I'm shooting some short micro films. This is not high budget, but in a budget monitor I can handle for that.
Yeah, but is it a 4K monitor you're looking for?
What?
Is it a 4K monitor that you're looking for?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, you have, for instance, I'm just looking at one now, which is like the Blackmagic SmartView 4K. Those monitors are made to be, racked.
I think it's costly.
I mean, if you're going to have a color accurate one, you're going to have to pay a lot of money however you do. That's the problem with like color accurate monitors. That's why I used, for instance, an iPad for a long time, because that's quite color accurate. So you can use that as a reference monitor a lot of the time. But now, I don't know if you can see it, but just behind me over there, that's not a very color accurate monitor. We usually use it for like watching. Like for the client to watch what's going on set, so they're usually in one different room and then they have a monitor for themselves, so it's like a client monitor. But I use that for grading also. But other than that, and that's
I think for starting, it's great.
yeah. But even that monitor there, if you look at the Dell monitors, let me just check what the label is, because you have. Where do you see that? Okay, UP2516D. Because that. Because that monitor is a color accurate monitor, but you're not gonna get through 10 bits. But that Dell monitor is a really, you know, the money, because that's much cheaper. But I mean, if you're serious about grading and you really want a 10-bit monitor, you could also look at like second-hand type of stuff, because you can often find, you know, used more like CRT monitors or that sort of old, you know, bulky monitors for lower prices, but that are really 10-bit. Yeah.
But I think that isn't good enough.
Yeah.
For
Yeah. But do also check, like, when I grade for cinema, for instance, I usually rent a cinema also to check what it looks like before, you know, sending it to festivals and everything. And sometimes maybe you can get that for free. But I think that's wherever you're gonna have things end up. If it's gonna be on a television, you need to watch it on the televisions that people will watch it on. For instance, my last doc was on television now. And I mean, you can't kind of make sure that things look okay for everyone, because people still watches, you know, the old fat TVs. Like if people are old or nerds, they still prefer those. So those you might have a difficult time grading for. So you're gonna have to pick also which one. Okay. Yeah. All right. Thanks for calling.
I have one question more.
Okay, ask one more.
I purchased a new camera, Sony A6500. It is good or not?
I mean, it's a good camera for the money, I'd say. I think you need to try to not push it too much, I think, because even if those cameras, I mean, they claim to be really low light, sensitive and all that, you lose a lot of dynamic range and you lose a lot of you get a lot of artifacts because it compresses the image. So you should expose properly and, you know, light the shadows. And if you can't do that, then crush the shadows to kind of hide the problems. Because those cameras, you know, you can look at them like they are really low light sensitive, but then because it compresses the image, it can have problems with, for instance, if you have a whole wall that it's one color, it might break apart and you will get, you know, lines and banding and that sort of thing. So it's not only noise, it's that it actually breaks apart and becomes almost like a pattern. Yeah. But otherwise, I mean, all those cameras are better than the cameras that I shot my first film on. So, yeah. So it's probably good enough for that, anyways, to do for TV and everything. Yeah.
And last question, is which software is good for color-grading DaVinci and Premiere? I think you always color grade on DaVinci.
Yeah. Yeah. So question, I'll just repeat it so people hear it, because I didn't hold it up to the microphone. But Premiere versus DaVinci Resolve for grading. For me, Resolve is such a superior product because it's made for grading. I use it as an editor too, because, you know, I'm gonna end up there grading it in the end. So it's just one less step to It's not much better than any other editing software, but the grading is, in my opinion, like that comes near in terms of like precision and everything. But if you don't learn that, you know, those tools enough, that precision isn't worth anything. Then it's better to look at, for instance, LUTs, like Film Convert has really good LUTs, for instance. That is a plugin.
Yeah, I'm also use that.
Yeah, and I mean, use those and you will be much quicker with the grade and everything. But if you want to learn to grade, you know, to affect like all the small nuances, like in Resolve, you can, for instance, you can pick my face, you can pick it in the skin tone color, you can pick it in the hue and saturation, or you can pick it in how light it is, and then you can just affect those parts of the image. So it's so much more precise in terms of like, okay, I only want to remove noise in your face, so I just select that, or I only want to remove noise in the shadows. So you can mask and do much more precision work, and it's quicker and not as unstable, I think. But I use Premiere and After Effects too, but not that often anymore. But I used to use After Effects all the time, so I'm not against it. It's just that it's much more complicated to do the same thing there than in Resolve. Okay, so I'm gonna call the next person. But thank you so much for.
And last thing I say, I'm a huge fan of yours.
Thank you so much.
You're doing great job.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna try to do these once a week, maybe. So you're gonna be able to ask new questions.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. It's difficult with the audio because sometimes it drops out, so I don't really hear. But this will work, I think. Okay, Simon, you have a second chance. Hope you. Oops, I'm calling again. Sorry, there's something that is so bad with this UI. Okay, Simon. 86. Is that the right one? No, that was the right one. Okay, Simon, that was you. We just talked. Okay, now we try. I'm having a hard time remembering who I've called, but hopefully I don't call too many people too many times. This freaking cold.
Hello, Johnny.
Yeah, hey, how are you doing?
Hi, Johnny. Not bad. Yourself?
No, I'm good. I got a little bit of cold, but that's almost over. How about you?
Getting out of bed, is it?
No, not at all. I've been like working for like 2 weeks with it, so that's fine. But how? What's your question, man?
Okay. So you just talked about shooting your project over the past couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a really big task to take on. So, like, how did you go about starting this project, a project this big, without any funding to back you up?
This has been my philosophy for like forever, that I never want to be, you know, in the hands of, for instance, broadcasters or funders or that sort of thing. That's been my mentality since pretty much I was in film school. So that's over like 12, 14 years. I've still had the same thought, and I think that they're so slow, so they just stand in the way of you making things. It's, you know, doing branded content and doing advertising to kind of fund my own development. So for that, I kind of set aside funding that I fund myself to develop the projects. and then that's a long-term thing. So I've, you know, collected money over the years, saved up. I buy equipment, investing that into, you know, the next project and the next project, and then I usually go alone, and then usually I have like a person on the spot that works with me. So like a combination of B camera fixer and, you know, driver type of person, and that person also does research for me and casting and everything beforehand. So in that way it doesn't cost that much to do it. I would say maybe a whole film you can probably do with like 20K or something like that over the course of like 3 years or whatever, what it takes for me to shoot it. So that's basically how I like self-fund it. And then after I've gotten to a stage where I'm at right now, I've shot maybe 2.5 weeks. I've shot 3 different times. And these 4 characters, I've shot 2 of them. So now I have enough to kind of pitch it to funders. So now I do a trailer and then I start pitching it to get development funding.
And then you'll continue shooting?
Yeah. I continue shooting all the time. I always think that like, okay, so when you work with funders, you're always gonna be one step behind in terms of funding. The money is always gonna be, you know, behind you all the time. So like when we got into the film festival with Pearl of Africa, the problem was that we hadn't funded the post-production and we had a release date set and everything. So if we would have waited, we would have missed our premiere, and, you know, that would have been much more troublesome to have that situation on our hands. So we just continued, did the editing, just, you know, ignored the fact that we didn't have funding and tried to work on, you know, the funding all the time. You have those 2 parallel processes. You have one that's like finishing the film. The other one is the fight to get it funded. And then once we got into the festival, we managed to get the production funding. But before that, it was a shoestring thing.
But I have balls to have what you do. It takes a lot of guts.
Yeah, but I think it's easier than that, though. I think that if you're smart about it and if you plan to kind of set aside money for it, so you make a budget that is like a shoestring type of budget. If you do that early on and you have like, I had a long-term goal of kind of saving up a buffer for me personally, like for the company, so that we can have salaries for a year. But then on top of that, you also save for the projects that you want to develop each year. And then you try to just keep that, you know, buffer going. Because if you have that, then you can make the right decisions. That's at least how I did it. But of course you can't save up for years salary in a short while, so you will have to do it for, you know, a couple of years or something like that, or you're gonna have to work your ass off for a while, which usually is what we do. We usually go into like a period of a lot of advertising, and then we take like 1 month off just doing our projects.
That's fantastic. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I've got one other question.
Yeah.
I've been pretty passionate about making video content ever since I can remember, and sometimes I find that you can get kind of stale with your own work. So I'm just wondering if you can suggest anything that helps you stay fresh with your ideas and creativity.
I mean, for me, it's just like doing new stuff. I think this channel really helps to kind of stay, you know, fresh with things and try to make things. I know for my experience that I would easily just do like the film I was making, and maybe I wouldn't even finish that if I didn't, you know, really commit to it at an early stage. So usually I just like make certain that I don't, you know, fall off the project and go on to the next one and the next one, because that happened a lot when I was younger. It was like I was always on to the next project and never finished anything. And that I think is like the most common thing, that you just start new things, you never finish. And that's usually what you need to kind of focus on, one project, and just make sure that you finish that, and then you do the next one. And with the channel, I think it's easy because there's an audience. Like this is the first live stream and people actually show up, and you know, you can call people. It's kind of awesome that you have that situation where people actually show up on a live stream where you're just like, oh, go live. And that's why I think the channel helps a lot, because you have people that you actually, you know, talk to, and you actually have an audience. So for me, the channel is one way to stay fresh, and you know, if things doesn't work, you need to think of something else and do a new video about something else.
Great, thanks for that advice,
Yeah.
Johnny. I think just keep going, and I think you'll be bigger than Neistat one day. So, yeah.
I hope so. If Casey sees this, I'm coming for you. Yeah, but thanks, man. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do these more than this one. This was the first test, at least.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you, Johnny.
All right. Take care, man. Okay. Last one, I think. Let's see if I have any number. I don't think I got through to this one. You get a second chance. Oh. So what do you think? Because this is the first time I'm thinking of doing this type of thing once a week. Is this a good time? Comment if you think it is, or if there's a better time, or if it's like how long should they be? We were thinking an hour-ish. This one would probably be a little bit shorter though. Okay.
Hello? Yeah, who's speaking?
It's Johnny von Wallström. How are you doing?
Oh, Johnny. Oh, so the video was a bit delayed. Yeah, good. How are you? Thank you, Johnny, for calling.
I'm good.
I love your stuff, and then I go direct to the question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm into travel vlogging, right?
Yep.
And cinematic as well. I'm quite new to this stuff, so I want to get a camera. I mean, I've been doing it with a really like a GoPro camera, but I want to take like a proper camera. But I mean, I don't have a lot of money. My budget is around $1,000, right? So, but I'm between autofocus with Canon, which is like the T7i something, or a really good stable camera with Panasonic, which is like before the G80, the GH5, which is the G85.
Which Canon camera was it?
Cinematic stuff.
What Canon camera was it?
So it's called T7i. It's mostly about. So I'm not sure if should I go with Canon with focusing, like real, because they're really good at focusing. But they are a bit shaky, so I will have to get a stabilizer and all these things that I don't have the money. Or go a camera that has really good, like Panasonic for stable shots, but the focusing is not that great. So I'm not sure which one is the best one to start with, because I'm quite new, so I'm not sure.
What are you looking to do with it?
Or stabilizing.
Is it only travel blogging, or is it something else too?
It's a bit of everything. It's a travel vlogging with cinematic stuff in the same video.
I mean, it's hard for me to say about the Panasonic one. I'm going to buy the GH5, or I think we've ordered it already. So I'm a really big fan of that one because of the stabilization, for instance. But it's hard to say about the lower end model. But is it much more expensive? Because it's good to have a camera which can stabilize that when he.
Even though they go their slightly no good reputation with the focusing, doesn't matter, right?
I mean, the focus is shit, I've heard.
Manual focusing.
Yeah, the focus seems to be really horrible. This is the C300 Mark II. The autofocus is quite terrible on that one as well. If you use it, it's noisy as hell, so you have trouble recording sound properly. So now I just switched it off because it was kind of when I went up with the phone to the microphone, it started to like go. So in that sense, I don't think you can get a autofocus thing that would work all the time. So I'm not counting on that with the GH5, for instance. So for me, that isn't an issue because I usually go manual anyways. But that kind of demands more on the lenses because the Panasonic lenses, for instance, aren't very good for manual focus. Let me. Now the question is, where is the camera? Good question. I've lost it. Oh, here it is. Here we go. Okay, found it. So, if I just show you the lenses, like this is a good Panasonic lens. This is the 1235. It has a focus that is. The problem that I have with it is that it's really, really hard to kind of nail manual focus with it because it doesn't have much friction. It's really slow and like it's hard to kind of handle. All the Panasonic lenses, this is also one that is 1.7
But you can
20 millimeter.
You can like work. You can get your way around it, right?
I mean, manual focus, I would never manually focus these lenses if I don't have to because they're so horrible. So on the, if you compare to these are old Canon lenses. They're not that great, but even those old vintage lenses, if you feel the focus, it's much more solid. Let me just show one other lens which is good for the Micro Four Thirds. Okay, so this is SLR Magic. These are quite kind of expensive, but this one has hard stops, you know, on the end. So you have like, I don't know if you can hear it, but it just stops, and it's really, really smooth. And you have this similar type of feeling in, for instance, the Sigma lenses, and you have it in the Samyang or Rokinon lenses that are cheaper. Like the Rokinon and Samyang is cheaper. So you can get that sort of feel even if it's the cheaper lens, because these are kind of expensive. But then, yeah, but then if you look at the vintage still lenses, they're much better for manually focusing. And you can always find an adapter, for instance. So if that's an issue with like manual focus on the Panasonic, these lenses that Panasonic makes isn't the best choice for that. But the Canon, of course, they will work. But I don't know, it's a bit noisy with the autofocus, so that can be an issue too.
Yeah, but I know I agree with all these things you say. You can find the right lens and you can get your way around it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Johnny. I love your stuff.
Thank you so much.
Even your stream looks like a movie.
Ah!
You're such a good filmmaker.
Awesome. I hope that it would look better.
Instead of a
Thank you
Congratulations.
so much. I'm gonna end the Q&A here, I think. So thank you so much for calling.
No, thank you for calling. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. Take care.
And I would like to see the stream every week or whatever you have the time.
Awesome.
I will watch it.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Cool, man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Bye bye. Okay. So last of this. I'm gonna try to do this once a week. So comment below what time do you like it, what can we do better, what's good, bad. Tell all your friends about it, subscribe, say hello to your mama. Bye bye.